Welcome back to the Artos Hub, where we explore the future of performance legends being reborn for a new era. Today we start with one of the most surprising revivals in the automotive world, the 2026 Chevy Nova Sleeper. At first glance, the name might sound like a quiet nod to the past, but what Chevrolet has put together is anything but ordinary. This isn't just another retro throwback. It's a bold reinterpretation of the sleeper car philosophy, one that blends stealth, power, and innovation in ways that are set to shock both the streets and the track. For decades, the Nova carried a reputation as a working-class hero. It was affordable, lightweight, and easy to modify, which made it a darling among drag racers and street tuners alike. The word sleeper became almost synonymous with the Nova, an innocent-looking shell hiding monstrous horsepower beneath the hood. Fast forward to 2026, and Chevy has taken that legend and carefully re-engineered it for a new generation of enthusiasts who crave both nostalgia and cutting-edge performance. At first sight, the 2026 Nova Sleeper lives up to its name. The design isn't wild or flashy. In fact, it's intentionally understated. From the outside, you could almost mistake it for a modern compact sedan with clean lines, simple curves, and a stance that doesn't scream for attention. But that's exactly the point. The Nova was never about being the loudest car in the parking lot. It was about being the one nobody saw coming until it left them in a cloud of tire smoke. Look closer, though, and you'll spot the subtle cues that reveal its true nature. The slightly flared wheel arches, the aggressive yet minimalist front fascia, the faint growl of its exhaust at idle, restrained but menacing. And of course, the sleeper badge tucked neatly on the rear deck lid, a hint for those who know the legend. Pop the hood, and the quiet disguise is shattered. The 2026 Nova Sleeper comes standard with a twin-turbocharged 3.6-liter V6, engineered to deliver a staggering 480 horsepower while maintaining daily drivability. For purists who demand more, Chevy offers an upgrade, a 5.7-liter LT-based V8 hybrid system that pairs raw combustion power with electric torque assist. The result? Nearly 650 horsepower and instant acceleration that pushes the Nova into true supercar territory, all while staying wrapped in its humble exterior. Chevrolet has been careful to give buyers a choice between transmissions, too. Traditionalists can opt for a 6-speed manual, keeping that hands-on driving connection alive. Meanwhile, those who prefer sheer speed can go for the 10-speed automatic with launch control and paddle shifters. Either way, the sleeper moniker proves fitting, because no one on the road will expect that level of violence from a car that looks so composed. Performance numbers are jaw-dropping. The hybrid V8 Nova can launch from 0 to 60 mph in just 3.2 seconds, with a quarter-mile time deep in the 10-second range, numbers that rival exotic machines costing triple the price. But what's even more impressive is how Chevy has tuned the chassis to handle. With a lightweight aluminum frame, adaptive magnetic ride suspension, and a state-of-the-art traction management system, the Nova Sleeper isn't just a drag car. It's capable in the corners, confident at high speeds, and surprisingly comfortable as a daily driver. Inside, the Nova takes a dual-nature approach, much like its performance. At first glance, the cabin feels almost modest. Simple lines, functional controls, nothing too flashy. But once you sit behind the wheel, the details reveal themselves. Retro-inspired analog gauges sit alongside a fully customizable 12-inch digital display. The flat-bottom steering wheel and sport bucket seats hint at track readiness, while high-end materials give a touch of luxury. Chevrolet didn't overload the cabin with gimmicks. Instead, they kept it driver-focused, a cockpit built for people who love to drive. Technology, of course, hasn't been ignored. The infotainment system supports Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Chevy's own AI-powered performance app, which lets drivers track lap times, G-forces, and even adjust suspension and throttle mapping on the fly. Safety hasn't been left behind either. The 2026 Nova Sleeper comes with adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, and a full 360-degree camera system, making it just as livable as it is lethal. What truly sets the Nova Sleeper apart, though, is its identity in 2026. In a world increasingly dominated by electric SUVs and self-driving tech, Chevrolet has dared to resurrect a name that means rebellion, individuality, and underground speed culture. The Nova Sleeper isn't trying to outshine the Camaro or Corvette in flashiness. Instead, it's carving its own niche, staying true to the ethos that made the original famous, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Even the pricing strategy reflects this philosophy. Early reports suggest Chevy is positioning the Nova Sleeper below most high-end sports cars, making it accessible for enthusiasts who want maximum performance without spending supercar money. This could be a major move in keeping muscle car culture alive, attracting both seasoned gearheads and younger buyers who are eager to own a piece of American performance heritage. And let's not forget the cultural impact. The original Nova was a street legend, a favorite among drag racers and backyard builders. Bringing it back in 2026 taps into that deep nostalgia while introducing the concept of a sleeper car to a new audience. Number 2. 2026 Plymouth GTX. We shift gears to one of Plymouth's most cherished nameplates, the GTX. Known in the golden age of muscle cars as the gentleman's hot rod, the GTX was all about blending raw power with a touch of class. Fast forward to 2026, and Plymouth has done something remarkable. They've resurrected the GTX not just as a muscle machine, but as a modern performance luxury coupe that refuses to compromise. When it first debuted in the late 1960s, the Plymouth GTX sat above the Roadrunner in the lineup. It was designed to offer refinement without stripping away the thrill of a big block V8. Chrome accents, premium interiors, and an aura of sophistication gave it a unique spot in the muscle car hierarchy. It wasn't the cheapest, and it wasn't the flashiest. It was something different. The car for someone who wanted both comfort and the ability to tear down a drag strip on Saturday night. The 2026 GTX takes that philosophy and reimagines it for the modern era. At first glance, the car immediately commands presence. The design draws inspiration from its heritage, a wide, muscular stance, sculpted fenders, and a long, sweeping hood. But it's refined with modern aerodynamics and sleek LED lighting. The grille is bold, framed by sharp intakes that hint at the power underneath, and on the hood sits a subtle yet unmistakable power bulge. From every angle, the GTX looks like it belongs in a high-end showroom while still whispering its muscle car DNA. Step inside, and the gentleman's hot rod spirit comes alive. The cabin is crafted with premium leather, brushed aluminum accents, and customizable ambient lighting that elevates the entire driving experience. Unlike the stripped-down interiors of many muscle cars, the GTX feels like a grand tourer. The seats are supportive yet plush, wrapped in high-grade materials, and the flat-bottom steering wheel is perfectly sculpted for long drives. Retro-inspired details like toggle switches and analog-style gauges coexist seamlessly with a 14-inch digital infotainment screen that handles everything from navigation to performance telemetry. But make no mistake, for all its polish, the GTX remains a beast at heart. Plymouth offers two powerhouse options. A naturally aspirated 6.4-liter Hemi V8 producing around 520 horsepower, delivering that iconic muscle car rumble enthusiasts crave. And for those who demand dominance, a supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi tuned to over 720 horsepower, giving the GTX the ability to sprint from 0 to 60 mph in just 3.4 seconds. For younger enthusiasts, the GTX introduces them to the concept of the gentleman's hot rod, a car that doesn't need to shout with wild spoilers or neon lights to prove itself. Instead, it speaks with confidence, elegance, and an exhaust note that rumbles deep in your chest. So, is the GTX a worthy revival of the legendary name? Absolutely. In fact, it might be one of the most strategically brilliant moves Plymouth has made in decades. By creating a car that appeals to both the muscle car purist and the modern luxury performance buyer, they've given the GTX not just a future, but a new identity. The gentleman's hot rod is back, and in 2026, it's ready to remind the world why muscle cars still matter. For older fans, it's a nostalgic revival done right, modern enough to compete in 2026, yet respectful of the badge's heritage. The 2026 Plymouth GTX isn't just about numbers, though they're impressive. It's about balance, speed and comfort, aggression and grace, heritage and innovation. It redefines what a muscle car can be in today's world, proving that sophistication and savagery can exist in one package. Both powertrains come paired with either a 6-speed manual gearbox for drivers who refuse to let go of tradition, or a lightning-fast 8-speed automatic with launch control and adaptive shift logic. Plymouth has engineered the car's chassis to match the firepower. A lightweight steel-aluminum blend frame, adaptive suspension, and performance traction management system mean the GTX doesn't just run in straight lines, it dances through corners with balance and confidence. Braking power is equally impressive, with massive Brembo 6-piston calipers clamping down on ventilated discs. High-performance tires wrap around forged alloy wheels, completing a setup that feels just as comfortable carving up mountain roads as it does laying rubber at the drag strip. Another aspect Plymouth has modernized is safety and driver assistance. The GTX may be a muscle car at its core, but it's also equipped for the realities of 2026. Features like adaptive cruise control, blind spot detection, lane centering assist, and a 360-degree surround camera are all standard. The result is a performance coupe that doesn't sacrifice livability, a key factor for appealing to today's buyers who expect both excitement and practicality. What's perhaps most fascinating about the 2026 Plymouth GTX is its market positioning. While many muscle car revivals have leaned heavily into nostalgia, Plymouth has given the GTX a sophisticated edge that makes it a direct rival to vehicles like the Dodge Charger Hellcat, the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, and even some European sport luxury machines. It's not just about raw speed, it's about presence, comfort, and versatility. Early whispers about pricing suggest Plymouth wants to keep the GTX competitive, aiming for a starting price that undercuts many European rivals while offering far more horsepower. This strategy not only makes the GTX accessible, but also positions it as a serious threat in the luxury performance market. For muscle car enthusiasts who've grown older and want a touch more refinement without giving up the roar of a V8, the GTX is a dream come true. Number 3. 2026 Plymouth Roadrunner. If there is one name that instantly sparks nostalgia in the world of muscle cars, it's the Plymouth Roadrunner. Born in the late 1960s as an affordable, no-frills performance machine, the Roadrunner became a legend almost overnight. It was raw, it was loud, and it was designed with one purpose in mind: to go fast without breaking the bank. With its cartoon mascot, its unmistakable beep-beep horn, and its reputation for delivering pure horsepower at a budget price, the Roadrunner carved out a place in muscle car history that few others could match. Now, in 2026, whispers and leaks suggest that the Roadrunner is on track to make a shocking return. While Plymouth as a brand faded away decades ago, Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep, still holds the rights to the Roadrunner name. And with Dodge moving toward electrified performance, enthusiasts are buzzing about whether the Roadrunner might make its grand re-entry as a bold bridge between old-school muscle and futuristic speed. The original Roadrunner was all about simplicity. It didn't come overloaded with luxury trim or unnecessary extras. Instead, it focused on performance parts, wide tires, and aggressive engines. From the 383 cubic inch V8 to the mighty 426 Hemi, the 2026 version, however, faces a very different world. Emissions laws, EV mandates, and the rise of high-tech supercars mean that a modern Roadrunner cannot just repeat the past. It must redefine what affordable performance means today. The biggest question surrounding the 2026 Roadrunner is its powertrain. Early rumors point to two possibilities. One path could see the Roadrunner fitted with a turbocharged inline-six, part of Stellantis's new Hurricane engine family. With twin turbos, this motor has already proven itself capable of producing over 500 horsepower, and it could be the perfect modern interpretation of the Roadrunner's original bang-for-your-buck formula. The other possibility is even more daring: a fully electric Roadrunner. Imagine an EV muscle car with instant torque, a 0-60 time under 3 seconds, and a driving range of over 350 miles. This would be a radical departure from the growling V8s of the past, but in today's market, it might be exactly what the Roadrunner needs to stand out. After all, if Dodge can reinvent the Charger as an electric muscle car, then why not bring the Roadrunner back as its wild, more affordable sibling? Styling will be another crucial factor. The Roadrunner always stood out with bold lines, wide stances, and a personality that matched its cartoon namesake. The 2026 model will likely pay homage to its roots with retro-inspired cues, sharp edges, a long hood, and muscular haunches. Some renderings suggest a coupe-like fastback profile, while others imagine a sleek four-door with hidden performance. Either way, it won't be subtle. Unlike the Nova Sleeper, the Roadrunner is expected to wear its performance credentials proudly, just as it did in the 70s. And yes, if Stellantis is smart, they'll bring back the legendary beep-beep horn. It wouldn't be a Roadrunner without it. Inside, the 2026 Roadrunner will have to strike a balance between modern tech and the raw spirit of the original. Expect a digital driver's display, performance tracking apps, and advanced connectivity. But enthusiasts are also hoping for something stripped down and driver-focused. No overstuffed luxury, no unnecessary distractions. A performance interior that prioritizes the thrill of driving above all else. If the Roadrunner is to succeed, it must resist becoming just another luxury sports coupe. Beyond performance and styling, the Roadrunner's cultural significance is what truly sets it apart. Back in its heyday, it was the car for the everyday driver who wanted to hit the drag strip on Friday night and still get to work on Monday morning. It wasn't a rich man's toy, it was a people's muscle car. Bringing it back in 2026 would mean honoring that same philosophy. Pricing will be key. If Stellantis can keep the Roadrunner accessible while still delivering serious performance, it could shake up the muscle car market in ways few expect. And the timing couldn't be better. The muscle car world is changing rapidly. Dodge has already announced the end of the Challenger and Charger as we know them. Ford is leaning hard on the Mustang as its last traditional muscle car. Chevy has discontinued the Camaro. In this climate, the revival of the Roadrunner could be the spark that reignites American performance in a new direction. It could represent not just nostalgia, but rebirth. Of course, there will be controversy. Purists will argue that without a naturally aspirated V8, it's not a real Roadrunner. Others will complain if it becomes electric, fearing the soul of the muscle car will be lost. But muscle cars have always adapted. In the 1970s, they shrank in size to survive fuel crises. In the 2000s, they embraced modern tech to meet safety regulations. And in 2026, the Roadrunner will have to evolve once again. Evolution doesn't erase history, it keeps it alive. Picture this, a 2026 Roadrunner lined up at a stoplight. Maybe it's got a twin-turbo inline-six under the hood, or maybe it's electric and humming silently. The driver revs, or in the EV's case, simply waits for the light to turn green. The car next to it, a sports SUV, maybe even a Tesla, laughs it off. But when that light turns green, the Roadrunner launches forward, leaving everyone else in the dust. That moment, that shock factor, is exactly what the Roadrunner has always been about. Affordable, accessible performance that punches far above its weight. Number 4. 2026 Lincoln Continental. Few names in the American luxury car world carry as much weight as the Lincoln Continental. Since its debut in the late 1930s, the Continental has symbolized elegance, prestige, and comfort. It was the car of presidents, Hollywood icons, and successful business leaders. To ride in a Continental was to arrive with authority. But as times changed, the once great sedan lost its shine, eventually fading into obscurity. For years, Lincoln struggled to find its identity in a world shifting toward SUVs and crossovers. Now, rumors and early reports suggest that 2026 could mark the rebirth of the Continental. Not as just another luxury sedan, but as a bold, forward-thinking flagship that redefines what American luxury means in a new era. If this revival happens, the 2026 Lincoln Continental could stand shoulder to shoulder with the finest European sedans, while delivering something uniquely American at its core. The first big question surrounding the new Continental is power. Traditionalists imagine a big V8 under the hood, but Lincoln is facing a different world. Emissions regulations and electrification are shaping the future of luxury. That's why the most likely scenario is that the 2026 Continental will arrive as a fully electric sedan, powered by Ford's advanced EV platform. With dual or even tri-motor setups, we could be looking at performance numbers north of 600 horsepower, paired with a range that stretches beyond 400 miles. Instant torque would give the Continental the effortless glide it has always been known for, but with modern acceleration that rivals Tesla's and Mercedes' EQ models. Design will play a pivotal role. The Continental has always stood apart for its presence, a car that didn't need wild styling tricks to make a statement. The 2026 version is expected to embrace clean, minimalist lines with an imposing grille, possibly reimagined as an illuminated EV panel, sharp LED signature lighting, and a long flowing body profile. Lincoln has experimented with concept designs that feature suicide doors, paying tribute to the legendary 1960s Continental models. If they carry that forward, it could become one of the most iconic styling cues in modern luxury, instantly setting the car apart from competitors. Inside, the Continental has always been about comfort. The 2026 model will likely embrace that legacy by creating one of the most serene cabins on the market. Expect top-tier materials, hand-stitched leather, open-pore wood, brushed metal, and ambient lighting designed to set the mood. But this won't just be old-school luxury. Lincoln has already experimented with quiet flight interiors that focus on calmness and wellness. Imagine massaging seats, climate zones tailored to individual passengers, and perhaps even built-in scent systems to create a personalized environment. Combined with EV silence, the 2026 Continental could deliver a sanctuary-like driving experience. Technology will also be front and center. Competing against brands like Mercedes, BMW, and Audi requires more than just luxury. It requires innovation. That means large, curved OLED displays, augmented reality heads-up displays, and AI-powered assistants that learn driver preferences. Lincoln is rumored to be working on autonomous driving systems in partnership with Ford's Blue Cruise, which could give the Continental hands-free driving on highways. If executed well, the 2026 Continental could become not just a car, but a rolling lounge, where the journey feels as premium as the destination. Cultural positioning is just as important as performance and features. The Continental has always been Lincoln's flagship, a symbol of American sophistication. In 2026, the brand will likely market it as a direct rival to the Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series, and Lexus LS. But where those cars lean heavily on European refinement or Japanese precision, the Continental can play a different card: American confidence. A car that feels both commanding and comforting, designed not just for driving, but for being driven. Expect Lincoln to target both private buyers and the executive chauffeur market, particularly in China, where luxury sedans remain highly desirable. Price will play a decisive role. If Lincoln positions the Continental too high, it risks being dismissed as an overpriced challenger in a segment dominated by global giants. But if it undercuts its German rivals while still offering standout features, it could disrupt the luxury sedan hierarchy in a way few expect. Early speculation suggests a starting price in the $70,000 to $80,000 range, with fully loaded models pushing well into six figures. Of course, the revival of the Continental won't come without controversy. Some purists will argue that an electric Continental cannot live up to the legacy of V8-powered models from the past. Others will question whether there's still a place for large sedans in an SUV-dominated market. But history shows us that icons never truly disappear. They adapt. Just as the S-Class has reinvented itself countless times to stay at the top, the Continental's return in 2026 could prove that there is still room for a true American luxury sedan in a world obsessed with crossovers. Picture this: a 2026 Lincoln Continental gliding silently down a city boulevard at night. Its illuminated grille casts a soft glow, its long body reflecting neon lights from the skyline. Inside, passengers recline in lounge-like comfort, insulated from the chaos of the world outside. Number 5. 2026. Chevrolet Chevelle SS4. Few names in the American muscle car world carry the raw, unapologetic weight of the Chevelle SS4. Back in the golden age of the late 1960s and early 1970s, it was a legend. The kind of car that made rival drivers nervous just by pulling up next to them at a stoplight. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't polite. It was a powerhouse designed for one thing: domination. The SS4 symbolized the peak of classic muscle, massive displacement, ground-shaking torque, and a design that made no apologies for its aggression. For decades, enthusiasts have dreamed of seeing it return. And now, whispers and early reports hint that Chevrolet is preparing to revive this icon for 2026. The idea of bringing back the Chevelle SS4 in today's market is both exciting and daring. In an era where EVs dominate headlines and SUVs rule sales charts, the thought of a ground-pounding, tire-shredding muscle car feels almost rebellious. But if Chevrolet follows through, the 2026 Chevelle SS4 could become the statement piece that reclaims muscle car glory for the modern age. Let's start with the heart of the beast. True to its heritage, the SS4 name demands serious displacement. While Chevrolet is committed to electrification across its lineup, the Chevelle revival is rumored to launch with a dual approach: traditional combustion power for purists and an electrified variant for the future-focused crowd. On the gas side, a naturally aspirated 6.6-liter V8 is expected, producing somewhere around 520–550 horsepower. For those who crave the outrageous, a supercharged version could easily push past 700 horsepower, putting it in the same league as Dodge's Hellcat and Ford's Shelby GT500. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Chevrolet is also exploring a performance-oriented electric SS4. Imagine instant torque, 0 to 60 times in under 3 seconds, and a range of about 350 miles. For many, it might sound like sacrilege to attach the Chevelle name to an EV, but in reality, it would future-proof the badge, allowing the SS4 to thrive in a world that's rapidly moving toward electric performance. Whether gasoline-powered or electric, the mission is the same: to terrify competitors and thrill enthusiasts. Design is where nostalgia will hit hardest. The 2026 Chevelle SS4 is expected to channel the muscular, intimidating stance of the 1970s original while modernizing it for today. Wide hips, a long hood, and a menacing front fascia are practically guaranteed. Early concept sketches floating online show a blend of retro cues, like squared-off body lines and heritage badging, merged with aerodynamic sculpting and LED lighting. If Chevrolet nails the balance, the SS4 will look like a proper muscle car, not just another sporty coupe. Expect bold color options, including tributes to classics like cranberry red, hugger orange, and black cherry, paired with racing stripes that scream performance. Inside, the SS454 will bring muscle into the digital age. Think driver-focused cockpit, bolstered sport seats, and a mix of analog-inspired gauges alongside a fully digital display. Chevrolet knows enthusiasts want authenticity, so expect retro flourishes, like a heritage SS badge on the steering wheel and a shifter that feels mechanical, not sterile. At the same time, modern buyers demand technology, so features like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, augmented navigation, and performance data logging will all be part of the package. Premium trims could even offer leather, Alcantara, and carbon fiber accents to elevate the cabin. Handling has often been the Achilles heel of classic muscle cars. Straight-line monsters, yes, but corner carving, not so much. The 2026 SS454 is expected to change that narrative. With a lightweight chassis, adaptive magnetic suspension, and advanced traction systems, this Chevelle won't just be about brute force. It will be a machine capable of attacking corners while still delivering the drama muscle fans crave. Massive Brembo brakes will rein in the power, while performance tires ensure grip whether on the drag strip or the back roads. One of the most exciting aspects is how Chevrolet might position the new Chevelle in the market. With the Camaro rumored to be on its way out, the SS454 could step in as Chevrolet's new muscle flagship. That means going head-to-head with Dodge's Challenger replacement, Ford's Mustang Dark Horse, and even high-end imports like the BMW M4. To win that battle, Chevy has to price it strategically. Early speculation suggests a starting price around $55,000 to $60,000 for the base V8, with higher trims, especially the supercharged or EV versions, climbing into the $80,000 to $100,000 range. The cultural impact of reviving the SS454 cannot be overstated. This isn't just a car. It's a symbol of rebellion, a reminder of when American muscle ruled the roads without compromise. For older enthusiasts, it's a chance to relive the glory days. For younger buyers, it's an opportunity to experience what true muscle feels like, updated with the tech and refinement today's market demands. Imagine the buzz when one of these rolls into a car meet, its engine rumbling,